Okie dokie, sorry about that. So come into a seated position to start with. I hope you're all very, very well. And in your seated position, just allowing your eyes to shut for a moment. Just sit however you want to sit, on a sofa, on a chair, down on the floor. And bringing your fingertips either down to your body if you are seated up high, or else very lightly down to the floor. So you're making a little tent shape with the fingertips, and you're feeling each one of your fingertips and thumbs in contact with the floor. Now a light touch through the fingertips, but using your arms like a lever so you can find a little bit of lift up through the spine. You're going to be bending forwards a little bit and just drawing up into your spine. Allow your shoulders to soften. And allow your breath to wake up through the body. Finding this little sense of lengthening through the spine and breathing along the spinal column. Really relax your body's weight here. Another couple of breaths. And now take your chin into the base of the throat. Just hold for one breath more. You should feel a nice sense of stretching across the tops of the shoulders there. In breath, lifting the chin again. And we'll take the hands back and onto the knees. And we're going to open the eyes. So finding that lift up now through the spine, eyes open in sitting. And we'll take the left hand over to somewhere along the right leg. It can be to the knee, to the thigh. Right hand behind. And bring your right fingertips again onto the floor. So you're back into that tent-like shape. And that becomes now your lever to come into a twist over to the right. Your gaze can follow out towards your right shoulder, last stop. Hold the shape for another breath. And bringing right hand over to the left side of the body. So plant it wherever you want to. You can take the left fingertips out behind you now. Again, come up onto all of them. And then lever the body around into a twist to the left. Relax for one more breath into this body shape. And coming back to center line. Now bring your knees up together now, and then stretching out your legs out in front. Fingertips up to the tops of the thighs, just to the crease with the hips. And with your out breath, slide the hands down. It's like you're massaging out the legs down towards the feet. Now I'd like you to breathe in and bend your elbows out to the sides, which means you may need to bring your hands in a little bit nearer. Breathe in, lengthen. Take a breath or so here, and as you breathe out, really root down into the backs of the legs. One more in-breath. And out-breath, slide the hands back up the legs to the crease with the thighs and the hips. In-breath, lift up. You can just plant the thumbs into that crease of thighs and hips, and that can become your lever then to draw the spine up, away from the base. Breathe in, breathe out. And a big in-breath, bring the arms in a big circle up and around the head. You can breathe in as you arrive there. And out-breath, folding forward. Now root into the base of the spine and lengthen out from the base. Let your hands come to rest wherever they want to come to rest. And with pull, we're going to draw. If you've got fingers on the toes, you can draw the toes back towards you of the right foot. If you've got your hand on the right leg, you can just draw the right calf or thigh back towards you. It's just a very subtle movement, just a pulling back in of that right heel, right toes. Swap to the other side, so you're doing the same on the left foot, on the left leg. To the right side. It's almost like you're walking in sitting. One more. Both hands to the legs, bend the elbows out. Breathe in, and we'll move the head over to the right shoulder. Take a circle, a semicircle with the chin over to the left-hand side. Take that semicircle back over to the right-hand side. Back to the center line. Tuck the chin into the little hollow at the base of the throat. And a big in-breath coming up and into sitting again. So coming onto all fours now, take your time to do so. And on all fours, start to take your pelvis into a figure of 8 from one side to the other. Now, as you do this, we're going to bring the hands into this. So as you bring your figure of 8 over to the left, your right hand will lift up. As it comes over to the right, your left hand will lift up. So you're lifting the hand in the opposite hand to where your hips are. Plant both hands back down again, but continue your figure of 8. Lovely. Right hand lifting up. Keep the figure of 8 moving. Right hand down. Keep your figure of 8 going. And we'll switch directions with that figure of 8. When you've done a couple of rounds in the new direction, left arm lifting up. Do draw your belly up a little bit here. It's easy to get a little bit of a slump in the lower spine when one's moving, supporting the weight of the trunk. Bit of belly to spine. Activate the core. Left arm coming down. Toes ducking under. and starting to really open out that circling into figure of 8 with toes tucked under. So you're bringing the weight of the body, the trunk of the body, over the shoulders, all the way up to the hands, back down almost to your heels. Switch directions just a moment or so the opposite way with a big movement through the body. And then come down the center line towards your heels. Bring your pelvis back towards the heels. And as you arrive, you're kind of rooting down into your heels. You're rooting into the heel of the hand. Lift up your fingers and stretch them out. So you're balanced on the heel of the hand, easing back towards heels, fingers lifted. Plant each of the fingertips in turn down to the floor, each of the fingers of the hands down. And once they've arrived, lifting onto all fours, come into cat and cow. Follow your breath. Another in breath. And with your knees bent, you're going to lift up the knees a fraction. Now you're going to feel the weight of the body here with the knees just lifting up. And you're going to have to use the core muscles to keep that lift, and so you don't start to feel the weight of the body too much. Shoulders more or less over your hands. Join up into the belly, knees coming down. Take a breath coming back into child, any version of child that you like. So pelvis back to heels, arms can stretch out. This is a temporary pause, so don't make yourself too comfortable. Maybe keep the stretch out through the arms, keep it quite dynamic. And with your next round of breath, you're up onto all fours again, toes tucking under. Now belly to spine again, another little lift through the knees. You're up into that balance point again. And just draw your knees, your thighs as well, up and back a fraction. So it's like you're trying to almost come out of the swamp, up into standing. We're kind of working with evolution here to get up to standing, but we're not nearly there yet. We're just kind of exploring being on the feet a little bit. Belly to spine. Soften your shoulders. Come back down if you'd just like a breath in between, else you're very welcome to hang out there for a few breaths more. If you're down onto all fours, we'll just ease into cat and cow, another couple of breaths. If you're hanging out still with your knees lifted, keep the belly lifting upwards, keep the breath long. Toes tucking under again. Into the third stage, coming up into our down dog, the knees lifting again, drawing the thighs a little bit more back now. Keep those knees bent. Just seeing how it feels now. If you lift up the right arm, then you can take it out in front of you. You can take it up to the hip. If you want to, you can lift it up skywards. Whatever you want. See if you can keep your pelvis level there, the back of the pelvis level. Right hand down. We're going to do the same on the other side. Just ease into your balance points, ease into the hands. Left hand either lifting up in front, to the hip, up in the air. Left hand down. All this is very good for bone density. Draw the thighs up and back so your sit bones are now lifting high.
Your knees are still bent. Now, let your fingertips lift again. So you're balanced on the heel of a hand, still in this down dog shape. Fingers lifting, plant them back down again. Root down into your heels. You'll straighten out the legs as you do so. And imagine someone's got a belt around your thighs and they're pulling that belt up and back behind them. So that's lengthening out your spine as your thighs draw back and look into the space between your legs. One more round of breath. Start to stroll your feet forward. Now your feet really are taking a walk, so you're consciously lifting, planting each foot. No rush in that walk. Take your feet up towards the top of the mat, hips width apart, and there you're folding in a forward fold. I'd like you to bend your knees though here, so you do feel really grounded down into the feet. Hands can really do whatever you feel to do. Just let them hang down though. Really relax the shoulders. You can wiggle shoulders around, move the head around a little bit if that's helpful. Or just stay still if you prefer that. Rocking forwards and backwards on the feet. And as you rock forwards, your heels can lift. As you rock backwards, your toes can lift. Now, start to root into your feet and start to allow the spine to lift up a little bit. So now you're hanging fingertips just off the floor. We roll up a little bit, so you're almost starting to stack the lower vertebrae, one on top of the other. Rolling up a little bit more. Continue that stacking motion of vertebrae, all the way up to the top of the body, all the way up into standing. Well done. A big in-breath, the arms are going to float up, and you're going to hold up the sky with the hands above the head. Breathe in, and breathe out. Start to roll down, each vertebrae at a time. Hands are going to scan down the front of the body into a forward fold. We're arriving and we're starting to roll up again, holding the sky when you come. No rush here, we really are taking time here this morning. Just find your way up. Breathe in, lift up the sky. And breathe out, folding downwards. Doing one more round. Start to roll up. Start to lift up the sky. Rolling downwards. And letting your breath flow, you're following now the movement of the body with the breath. It's going to become a little bit more dynamic. As you move from one to the other, up and down, up and down. Lifting up, drawing down. Breathing out as you come down, breathing in as you lift up. Another in-breath, rising. And this time pausing with the in-breath, arms up above the head. Draw your shoulders back, look up. 2 more rounds of breath there.
And with your out breath, turning the fingers away from you, let your hands float down to the sides of the body. Eyes shutting, feet connected to the floor. You may want to lift up your toes there and then planting them down towards your big toe pad. Feel contact, the inner edge of the big foot, the big toe, the outer edge of the little toe, the inner edge of the heel, and the outer edge of the heel. And from your feet, start to draw upwards through the legs, up into your thighs. Even your kneecaps are lifting. Draw up into your pelvis. Feeling it balanced on the top of the legs. And turning your kneecaps slightly out away from each other, just to open up the front of the pelvis. It's a very subtle movement, just a slight turning outwards of the thighs in this outward direction, like you're opening out the pages of a book. Now draw your lower belly inwards. It's this kind of area of the belly. And from that, just see how your rib cage rises. That sense of lift up into the rib cage. You can almost feel the ribs opening a little bit, finding space. So then the heart can open. This holder for the heart is more open. Shoulders drawing back. Hands hanging by the sides. Body. And keep drawing upwards through the neck into your skull. Almost like there's a tube running up from the base of the body, up through the center of the body, up through the throat, up through the middle of the skull. And that tube is arriving up at the crown of the head, just lifting into the sky. And so as you breathe now, you can imagine your breath moving up and down that tube. And in standing, creating this space for your spinal column, you can kind of imagine how much your spinal nerves, from which every other movement kind of function within the human body is kind of originating, or how much they're going to like that. Being able to, be present without any compression, finding that space, feeling energized with your breath. So from the feet, through the body, up through this central axis to the crown, we'll start to allow the arms to float up. You'll breathe in as you arrive, and breathing out, keeping this lovely long length you've created for your spine. You're going to fold forward. Do put a bit of bend for your knees here to soften the lower spine. It's a long, big old weight of the body to come forward into a forward fold. Put a bit of bend for your elbows as you rise. So that will stop any kind of constriction of the neck. It will keep the lengthening out into the skull. Now we're offering the spine forward. Hands can be on the legs, the knees, the thighs, or on the floor, just in front of you, or to the sides of the feet. From the base of the body, start to offer out the spine, vertebrae to vertebrae, long lengthening. Look forward, breathe in, out breath, hands can come wherever you choose them to, but planting your hands down so you feel contact of fingertips and stepping the feet back into down dog. In breath,
bend your knees and draw your spine upwards. Out breath. You can keep the bend in the knees or just see how it feels to stretch out into your heels, straighten out through the backs of the legs. We'll do that version. Another in breath, bend the knees again. Draw up to sit bones. Out breath, releasing downwards to the heels. One more. Now coming over on the crest of the wave, in breath, shoulders over the hands, you're into a plank. And you're going to lower the hips a fraction, not so you're sagging, but just so you're in a nice line here. Shoulders underneath the hands. You may have to shuffle your feet backwards so you feel you've got space. Belly to spine. Gaze soft, look forward. And we're finding a way now to lower down. So you can either lower the whole body as a plank, you can put the knees down and lower, or you can come down to all fours and just draw backwards to the heels. Take your pick. Out breath, coming down. Belly on the floor, whatever way you kind of arrived there, whether you've come through onto the belly. Now feel the belly in contact with the floor. Breathe in and out of your belly. It almost feels like you're floating on the floor because your belly's expanding, contracting. Now follow that flow of your breath as you breathe into a cobra, all the way from the base of the spine. Breathing in, the belly will lift a little bit. Breathing out, hold in your cobra. Another in breath and out breath, easing your way back into down dog. Lovely. Root into left hand, left foot, right arm to the hip, out in front of you or up into the air. Right hand comes down onto the other side. Left hand lifts. Left hand down. Left knee down. Lift up your right leg. Keep the right hand on the floor and start to come up onto the fingertips of the right hand. Keep lifting up into that right leg. Come down, right knee down onto the left hand side, up onto the fingertips of the left hand, left leg lifting. Keep drawing up through that left leg, left hand comes down, left knee down again, right arm can lift as the right leg can lift. If that feels too much for you, keep the hands on the floor just as we were doing a moment ago. Now find your balance here, root down into the left hand, belly to spine. If your base stable for the next round of breath, reach back for your right foot. If not, just hold it there, one more breath. Right arm is going to come down with the right leg, plant them down and on to the other side. Left arm lifts, left leg lifts. Keep rooting down, holding the core steady. And with the next round of breath, if you're feeling stable, you can reach back towards that left foot. And finding your way down with the left hand. Well done. Come onto all fours and into cat and cow. breath, take your pelvis back towards your heels, arms stretched out in front of you. Few rounds of breath here to kind of balance out the breath. If you can start to bring your breath into a ratio of 1:1, probably means that you'll have to draw the out breath inwards, pull it in a little bit, and maybe expand out your out breath, your in breath a little bit to find that balance. Of course, don't feel it's got to be kind of as perfect as a set of scales, but just getting that sense of balance from in breath to out breath. Take one more round here. Now keep holding that balance of the breath, coming up onto all fours and stretching out your right leg, so it's just out behind you. Then rotate onto the outer edge of the right foot. Now we're going to take the left foot just behind the right, and you're going to come up onto the fingertips of the left hand. So in a side plank, but you've got this left hand down on the floor. We're going to swivel over with the feet onto the other side. So onto the outer edge of the left foot, up onto the fingertips of the right hand. Swivel back onto the outer edge of the right foot, left hand to the hip, or else you can lift it skywards. Now the left foot can just be behind as a balance point. You can stack the feet if you feel comfortable doing that. Another breath. And the left hand coming down. Onto the other side, rotate onto the outer edge of the left foot, right foot stacks or just behind, and the right hand lifting, or on the floor, or on the hip. Right hand coming down. Come back into down dog and bend your knees. And with your knees bent, you're coming into a figure of 8 from one side to the other in your down dog. Take your figure of 8 the opposite way. An in-breath, a slow walk with the feet, lifting your heels as high as you can as you walk the feet up towards the top of the mat. Arriving into a forward fold and rooting down through both feet. With knees slightly bent, start to roll the spine up, one vertebrae to the next, arms floating up above the head, and out breath, arriving back and into the heart. Breathe in, breathe out through the mouth. Find that sense of the central channel of the spine now. Almost like you can imagine this tube of energy running up from the base of the spine, up through the body, but take that tube up through the throat to the crown. So you've got this point of contact here, the point of contact at the bottom of the tube at the base of the body, base of the pelvis. Feel the wind of the breath flowing up and down that tube, that column.
Just make any adjustments you need to. So you feel if there's any like kink in that tube or any slight bending in the tube, just to get it as open and as smooth a passageway as you can. Which may just be resetting the mind in a way, pressing that reset button and imagining it like that. It doesn't matter what you feel here. Just setting that mental image, as it were. In breath. Palms floating out the center line above the head. Reach up to the sky, hold the sky with the hands. Breathe in, and then the spine will start to fold forward. You'll roll it down, you'll put a bit of bend into the knees to come into forward fold. Going to open out into standing twist here, each side, so right hand to the hip or out, up into the air. Breathe in, breathe out, bring the hand down, the right hand down. So then as you breathe in, you're onto the left hand side. Breathing out, left hand comes down, to the right, breathe in. Left hand side. Both hands to the center line, hands to the legs, the thighs, the knees, or else down to the floor in alignment with the toes, or just in front, offering the spine from the base. So in breath from the base of the body, draw it forward. Draw up into your belly, gaze soft, feel that tube running up from the base of the body to the ground. Breathe in. And out breath, planting your hands wherever you want to, but plant them firmly and then step them back into down dog, your feet back. Breathe in, draw the spine up and back. Breathe out. In breath, we're going to find our way into cobra. So whatever version you want to do with your in breath, I'm going to come into plank here. You could come onto all fours though, either lowering down in plank or knees to the floor and lowering. Belly to the floor, we all meet there. A breath also here to fill the belly in contact with the floor. Breathe into the belly and breathe out. And in breath into cobra. And out breath, you're arriving into down dog. So another little moment to explore our side planks this morning. And from here, this time we're coming from side plank we're going to, and then into the back bendy kind of stretch where you step the foot over. So just take it at whatever level you'd like to here. You can even have knees on the floor and just a few side planks there, knees on the floor. You want to have that last little burst of energy coming onto the outer edge of the right foot, into the side plank, stacking feet or left foot behind you. Reach up with your left arm. Breathe in. Breathing out, step the left foot behind your right. Reach up with the left arm and over. Lift up into the hips. Breathe in. And breathing out, slowly lower the left hand down. Step your feet back so they're level and you're into down dog. An in breath, an out breath. Into side plank on the opposite side now. Come on to the left hand edge of the left foot, the little toe edge.
step feet, or bring the right foot behind. Breathe in, right arm lifts. Make sure the shoulders above the hand, it will help. Step the right foot back and over. Reach up with the right hand, reach back and over. Breathe in and breathing out, slowly bringing right hand back down. Lovely. Walk your feet back down. Breathe in, keep steady and down dog. Don't let go of the breath. Breathe out. And coming down to the knees. Arriving back into cat, the spine curving. Breathing your way into cow. Find balance with the breath. And you're going to arrive back to your heels. Well done. Few rounds of rest in child, so do adapt this to your own body. And then taking your hands down to the sides of the body so you can lever the spine up and into sitting. Take your feet around the front of the mat. In breath, root down into the pelvis. Lift up into your spine. So really feel that clear column again of energy running up the spinal column. In breath, arms can float up. Now out breath, lift up from the base of the spine and then start to fold forward. Keep that lift, that subtle lift at the base of the spine. Don't worry what's happening really in the top of the body. Hands can come to rest. Breathe in and lengthen the base of your spine. Breathe out and just relax downwards with a few breaths. Each in-breath, just that subtle lifting up and into the lower vertebrae of the spine. It's almost like with the in-breath, you just get that sense of space. So you're lifting, drawing up from the base of the body. You can kind of see if you're working from the base, from the core, you can get that little lift there. It's almost like the rest of the vertebrae are just going to ripple from that point. But if you are just working in the top vertebrae and just trying to lengthen this part of the spine, the upper part, well, you've kind of lost your core there. So really do kind of consciously, just let go of the top of the body. Breathe in, just find that little lift down here. One more round. And hands to come out to the tops of the legs, glide them up the tops of the legs, into the crease of the thighs. Anchor your thumbs into the crease of the thighs and draw your spine up. Take 2 more full rounds of breath in. Hands to the sides of the body, bend your knees, and you're coming down onto the spine, knees together. And your arms are stretching out to the sides of the body. You're in a T shape with knees bent. Now just rock the base of the spine forwards and backwards. Which does feel lovely because it's kind of massaging out now the base of the spine. Breathe fully into the back of the body as much as you are to the front of the body and to the side. And then we're going to drop the knees over to the right hand side. And your knees are going to arrive wherever they want to arrive. Don't feel you have to adjust them. It's really going at that point of arrival. Turn your gaze to the left. Then take another 2 rounds of breath here. Take your knees back to the center line. And you're rotating them over to the other side. Again, just let them drop. And your gaze can turn towards the right arm. Keep finding the balance in the breath between the in breath, the out breath. And just noticing how the breath kind of touches your body. It moves your body, physically moves it. Not just at the front of the body, but also the back of the spine, the sides of the body. Knees back, the center line. Take your knees into the chest, hands to the knees. Draw the knees in. Really as closely as you can to the chest and the body. Just rock from one side to the other. Spine. And arriving in happy baby. Feet can come up, and from there you're catching hold of the backs of the legs, backs of the thighs, hands around the back, or else the outer edges of the feet. Take your knees apart. You can use your elbows if you like as levers there on the inside of the legs. Oh, she's putting a bit of bend into that. I quite like rocking from one side to the other spine in happy baby. There's that kind of point where you think, oh help, I'm going to fall all the way over. It's quite nice in itself, but very nearly go. Another breath, coming into stillness if you are rocking and you're happy baby. And the soles of the feet coming towards one another. Root them down to the floor. Knees can come out to either sides of the body. And from that crease of the thighs with the hips, with the pelvis, slide your hands down the inner thighs a couple of times. I know you all, I speak for myself here, but there's always so much kind of tension, tightness in the inner groin. Just trying to iron that out a little bit. Just encourage, coax the body to relax some of that holding. Then your hands can rest on the belly, on the sides of the body if you prefer. steadiness of breath. And hands underneath the knees. You can ease them up again to the centre line. Now on our way into Shavasana, so before you arrive, you just may want to hug the knees in and then maybe let's do little circles with the knees. And then when you're ready to, in your own time, drop the feet down and you're stretching legs out and turn. You're arriving into Shavasana. As you arrive in Shavasana, just take a few moments to feel the touch of breath within the body. It's easy to find that touch in the front of the body. It's a very obvious, visible rise and fall of the belly, chest. Just note how the back of the body responds to the breath, the sides of the body. And you don't have to do anything to allow your breath to flow up and down through the body. And just standing back, as it were, watching the flow of the breath, the ebb and flow of breath up through the central channel, central axis of the body. And letting be. Maybe you'd like to spend longer in your Shavasana, then do feel free to just carry on. But otherwise, a few moments to bring awareness to the breath.
And then expand that awareness outwards into your surroundings, noting the position of your body within your room, the sounds around you, and the touch of those surroundings on the body, the back of the mat, air, and fabric upon the skin. And moving forwards, fingers running over the tops of the thumbs over the tops of the fingers, and your toes moving from side to side. And in your own time, you then bend knees and roll over to the right side of the body. And taking time, arriving up and into sitting again. So you're arriving in sitting, and just to close the practice, hands resting on the lap or on the knees, on the floor. Now draw up into your spine. If you do need to sit up on a block or something to get that lift, and do so. Eyes shutting. In the last moment, just finding the solace of the breath. And hands coming together to close your practice. And bowing the head forwards. And eyes opening again when you're ready.